Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. Welcome back once again to my backyard. Today I'm going to be tasting yet another military ration, and this time it hails from Norway. This will not be the first time I've had a Norwegian ration. I will put the link down below and the playlist up above, but this will be the first time I've tasted this. And this is made by the same company, Drytech. And this is Reindeer Stew. I am so excited to try this. Lovely Julian sent this to me. Julian, thank you so much for sending this to me. I'm very curious to see what this is about. Now this is called Sprightly, and this is Reindeer Stew. When I used Google Translate to translate this, it actually called this venison stew, but here very clearly it says reindeer stew. So super excited to give that a taste. So reindeer is considered a traditional food. There's a long history of consuming it in the area. The Sami people, the native peoples of the Nordic region, actually domesticated reindeer and used much of it in their cookery. So it's actually not very uncommon to see reindeer or venison, which is deer. So I'm excited to try it because I have had venison when I lived in Montana, but I've never had reindeer. So Julian, thanks again for sending this to me. So there's a couple of really great reasons to love freeze-dried rations. Number one, because there's no water in here. They're very, very light. Number two, they have a very long shelf life. Because there's no water, there's nothing to go bad, there's nothing to go rancid, there's nothing for mold to grow on. On the other hand, you do need hot water to prepare these. I'm sure you could use cold water, but I think the taste and the texture would suffer. So there are two notches here. The first one, we're going to tear it here for the mixing portion. Opens very nicely. I have to say right off, the quality of the design and the packaging is really, really nice. All right, so had a nice little hiss there, so this was still vacuum packed. Here's what it looks like inside. It smells a little bit like croutons, kind of toasted. Not all that meat-like, but there's definitely a lot of meat in there. Looks a little bit like cereal, kind of like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or something. And the meal is gusseted, so it stands up nicely. Love that. I'm going to fluff it a little bit, so I'm going to fill the water right to there. I wish they put the fill line on the inside. I'm going to stir it, make sure everything gets in contact with the water. Now I'm going to reseal it up. Now I'm going to set this aside for about 8 minutes. Okay, while that's cooking, let's go ahead and taste the Arctic Field ration. Again, the quality of the printing and the packaging of this is excellent. Very tough mill plastic. This is the chicken and lime. And right here, it says open here to reuse label and to seal pouch. And becomes a reusable sticker. I love that. Some tips about how to avoid fatigue. Ooh, look at that. Very, very nicely packaged. We have a brownie bar, Cranberry Protein Bar, and everything is very conveniently written in English, which is wonderful for a non-Norwegian speaker. Ooh, a dark chocolate bar, that looks great. Instant coffee, a disinfecting swab, a little piece of chewing gum. Ooh. Here is the main entree, rigid plastic spoon. This looks like a fruit mix, maybe the trail mix. Oh, look at this. It's great packaging. A lemon energy drink. So there's a zip top to this, so we can just fill it and mix it right into this bag. Lovely. Oh, and an extra plastic bag to use for anything you wish, maybe for toting out garbage, whatever you like. Very practical and handy. And that is it. A very compact, streamlined ration. I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and disinfect my hands first with the swab. Ooh, oops. Disinfect my floor. Oh, and that just smells like ethanol. That's just rubbing alcohol. Very, very saturated little wet nap. Cold, but surely going to disinfect, right? Ooh yeah, if you've got any little cuts or scrapes, you're definitely gonna feel that. Now let's go ahead and prepare this. And this is Real Field Meal by Drytech once again. I love their graphic design, very bold. And this is the chicken and lime. And that's what it looks like inside. This one's beautiful. It's a bright kind of yellow orange color. It smells a bit more like tomato than that one. So I'm gonna fluff that up. and then there's a fill line on the outside. So I'm gonna hold my thumb right there, and that way I have a little bit of reference for filling. I will use the provided spoon to stir. Okay, zip this up, and then let this sit for about 8 minutes. Okay, so while that's happening, let's taste some of our side dish things. Let's open this up. This is the tropical fruit mix. So it isn't a trail mix, it's just dried fruit. Very small little gems of fruit. It looks like it might be pineapple, papaya. Let's see. Mmm. Oh, that's like candy. Delicious. So dried fruit, they have a little bit of sugar in there, but I love how tiny these little pieces are. Just chopped up. Delicious. That was pineapple. Really great dried tropical fruit flavor. It's got a little bit of sugar on it, so it's a little bit crunchy on the outside, but inside it's a bit like a gummy. Delicious. I don't think I've had dried fruit that's been chopped up this small before, but I really like it. It makes for a much more pleasurable experience somehow. Don't really know why. It just seems more delicate. Love it. Let's try this next, and this is the Cranberry Protein Bar. So it calls itself a protein bar, but it actually looks a bit more like a chewy granola bar. Little bits of crunchy cereal in there. I see some dried cranberries. It smells fruity, a little bit artificial smelling though, but let's give that a go. The texture is pretty good for a protein bar. Lots of crunchy cereal in there, so it's not so dense and kind of taffy-like like some protein bars can be. It's pretty sweet, so definitely feels like a dessert. The flavor is funny though. It tastes like bubblegum. It tastes like double bubble bubblegum. Very artificial, somewhat fruity, but yeah. Texture's not bad, flavor's not my favorite, but on the go, if you need some energy, pop this, whip this out. Really, really practical, actually. Tasty? Not so much. This is the energy drink with taste of lemon. Just add 3 deciliters of cold water. Smells like country time lemonade. Great. So this, okay, good. I was worried that this was not gusseted, but it is. Great. It has a very electric yellow color to it. Very typical of an energy drink, I think. So let's zip this up. Make sure this is really tight because I've made that mistake before. And then give this a shake. I think as long as the packaging holds up, I like this way of mixing drinks. It's very practical. So I'm going to shake that up and I'm going to have that with my meal. Speaking of beverages, let's not forget about our coffee. I have my little mug here. Some Colombian freeze-dried instant coffee. Your typical freeze-dried coffee granules. Add some nice hot water. That smell always reminds me of camping. Tastes like camping too. It's great. It's great for what it is. There's just some nostalgia and all kinds of memories that are associated with this particular flavor of freeze-dried coffee. I love it. I love it. Is it gourmet coffee? No, it isn't, but it's not supposed to be. But it has caffeine in it, and it's a way to start your day. I love it. Great. So our first entree should be ready. And here it is. This is our reindeer stew, nice and piping hot. Oh, it actually looks pretty good. Look at that. No, I do have a couple dry patches. In the field, you would just eat it straight out of the package, but I want you guys to see it, so I'm gonna take it out like that. Look at that. Now this is a lot of food. So even though I stirred it pretty well, there are still pockets of kind of dried food in the corners, but still pretty good. It looks like this is like a mashed potato. There are big hunks of reindeer here. They're pretty thin, but that makes sense because we're trying to rehydrate this and we want as much surface area as possible. But this looks pretty good and it smells pretty good too. Alrighty, let's give this a taste. My first taste of reindeer stew. Itadakimasu. Pretty well seasoned. very flavorful. The sauce part of the stew is basically mashed potatoes with gravy. The meat has a chew to it. It's an interesting texture. It's a bit like beef jerky that's been rehydrated, which is kind of what this really is. But it's pretty good. Very, very hearty, tasty. Very flavorful. I can taste the carrots in there, some onion. Nicely seasoned. There's definitely enough salt. I do wish I had some kind of cracker or something to eat this to give it a little bit more crunchy texture. Very, very tasty. The dried carrots have a little bit of a bite to them, kind of like when you have rehydrated ramen noodles and sometimes the peas and carrots are a little bit hard. Kind of like that, but not at all unpleasant. Very concentrated kind of carrot flavor. What I really want is a little bit of hot sauce. That would really liven things up. In terms of what the reindeer actually tastes like, if someone were to present this to me, I would assume that it was beef. I wouldn't be able to tell that this is reindeer, but there are a lot of flavors going on in here as well. I think maybe if I had a steak of reindeer, I could taste maybe more of the flavors of the meat, but in a stew, I can't tell any difference, but quite tasty. So let's go ahead and try our killing, which is the chicken and lime stew. Now the packaging here is identical to the reindeer stew, and I noticed that there are 2 notches to tear at. It says to open it at this tear notch to eat. So we can just kind of bypass this whole Ziploc-ness, and it actually makes the packaging shorter so it's easier to scoop out. So very practical. And that's what the meal looks like. Looks quite tasty. It looks a bit like a curried meal. It smells good too. Now I'm gonna also put this into a bowl so you can see it better. We can also see how well it got mixed up. So there's some rice in here. Everything looks pretty well reconstituted. There's a little bit of dryness, but it kind of just mushes in with everything else. And like the reindeer stew, the meat pieces are thin. These are cut a little bit smaller than the reindeer. It looks like there might be some lentils in here too for some added protein, but very generous. That one's pretty good too. Not what I think of when I think of Norwegian food, but it's pretty delicious. The rice gives this a whole lot of body. There's a lot of starch in here, but there's a little bit of chew of the chicken. It doesn't particularly taste like chicken. If anything, it just tastes like a stew or some kind of biryani, although there's no curry spices in this whatsoever. There's a little bit of lime in there, which gives it a tanginess. Nicely seasoned, well salted. I can taste the red peppers in there. The rice is pretty well cooked too. It's not hard. Again, like the reindeer stew, I wish there was some kind of cracker or something to kind of dip or to place this on. I would like some textural variety. This is kind of all mushed together. So if there's something crunchy or if there was some kind of tortilla or pocket bread or something, I think that would be really fun to kind of change things up. Let's go ahead and pour ourselves some energy drink. So I imagine you can just drink it out of this container here. Ooh, very sweet. Strong lemony flavor, which I like, but it tastes a lot like just Gatorade. Let me pour it in a glass so you can see what it looks like. See, it has this electric kind of yellow color. Very much what you associate with an electrolyte drink. I'm gonna add a little bit more water because I like my drinks a little bit diluted. All right, let's try it in a glass now. I much prefer having it in some kind of container. While you absolutely could drink it right out of the bag, it's a little bit easier to have it out of a glass. Yeah, I prefer that. And it tastes just like an electrolyte drink. Sweet, has a little bit of viscosity, very similar to, say, a Gatorade or a Powerade. And there you have it, an energy drink. I wonder if it has any caffeine in it. English, UK, sugar, maltodextrin, acidity regulator, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, so lots of electrolytes. It does not say any caffeine, which is nice. And for dessert, let's have our dark chocolate bar. So let's open that up. Oh. So oftentimes when you get chocolate in rations, they bloom because the rations have gotten hot and they've cooled off and the chocolate is not at the texture it should be. But this looks beautiful. And it says Brunberg chocolate. This is not bloomed. It looks absolutely perfect. And let's give this a taste. It's warm out, so it's already starting to melt. Yes, here we go. So, this is a dark chocolate, but it has the mouthfeel of milk chocolate. Very, very smooth, almost waxy. Great dark chocolate flavor. Although it's quite sweet, it does have a very nice mouthfeel, very similar to milk chocolate, with a little extra bitterness, which I like. Nice, especially with coffee. Yes. That is the way to polish off a meal, certainly. Finally, we've got a little bit of chewing gum. Little packet here, real chewing gum, peppermint. Looks like there are 2 pieces in here, and this looks like it's going to be a xylitol style gum. Little like chiclet. Let's give that a go. That's really great after having that chocolate bar, because now I'm having like a York peppermint patty sensation. Minty, with residual dark chocolate. Delicious. Highly recommend that. That's great. Nice little fresh piece of chewing gum, crunchy outside, soft, chewy gum on the inside. So there you have it, a Norwegian Arctic field ration along with a dehydrated reindeer stew. Quality absolutely top notch. Everything is well planned, well designed, very compact ration, quite tasty. You just need to have a source of hot water. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Check out the Military Ration playlist for more ration taste testing. And yeah, I shall see you in my next video. Toodaloo. Take care. Bye!